Boker Tov. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I hope you've all had a good week. If you haven't had a good week, that's all right. Shabbat is here. We're here together this morning. It's a lovely day. And as we are beginning our prayers this morning, I invite you just to take a moment to center yourself in this space that we're in, whether that's here in our Solel Sanctuary or whether you are joining us from your home or thereabouts on the live stream. Just to breathe in a little bit of that Shabbat rest that we all gain every week, and to breathe out some of the stresses and the strains that we have been experiencing during this week. We all have that, whether we are conscious of it or not. And to remind us that here we are about to enter into this holy space, this Mikdash Me'at, this small sanctuary of space, of time, where we are together in prayer. We are together in community and voicing our heart's messages to the Holy One. So I invite you to join with me on page 71 as we say, Va'ani tefilati Adonai et ratzon. As for you, O God, I enter this house of prayer. May this be a time of favor. May this be a space where you hear me, and together we create a better world. Together, we have come together to strengthen our bonds with our people Israel. Like Jews of generations past, we celebrate the grandeur of creation. Like Jews of every age, we echo our people's ancient call for justice. Our celebration is a sharing of memory and hope. We are Jews, but each of us is unique. We stand apart and alone, with different feelings and insights, and yet we are not entirely alone and separate, for we are children of one people and one heritage. Our celebration unites many separate selves into a single chorus, and we are one in the search of life's meaning. All of us know despair and exaltation. All bear burdens, all have moments of weakness and times of strength. All sing songs of sorrow and love. May our celebration bring us strength along our way. In the circle of hope, in the presence of the sacred, may the heart come to know itself and its best, finding a fresh impulse to the good. May our celebration lead us to work for the good, and may the Shabbat give strength to us and to our people Israel. Page 73, Elohai Neshama, the soul that you have given me, God, is pure. Elohai, Elohai, Neshama. Top of page 74, the words of Lasok B'divrei Torah. We praise you, O God, who commands us to soak up words of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher hishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu, la'asok b'divrei Torah. שאין להם שיעור שאדם אוכל פירותיהם בעולם הזה, והקרן קיימת לו לעולם הבא, ואלו הן. These are the mitzvot which have no limit, one eats of their fruit at this time, yet their full effect is without measure. Kibud av va'em, to honor father and mother. Ugemilut chasadim, to perform acts of love and kindness. V'hashkama bein hamidrash, shacharit va'arvit, to attend the house of study daily. V'achnasat orchim, to welcome the stranger. Uvikur cholim, to visit the sick. V'achnasat matan dechala, to bring marriage partner to the chuppah. U'vayat hamet, to accompany the dead to burial. V'iyun tefillah, to pray with sincerity. V'haba'at shalom ben adam chavero, to make peace where there is strife. V'talmud Torah k'neged kulam, and the study of Torah is equal to them all, because it leads to them all. We join together at the bottom of page 79. Berchot Shavachol Yom, the blessings for each day. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan tzadikah, yavin ben yom u'leila. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, she'asani b'tzamo. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, leyom ha-Shabbat, a song for the Sabbath day. Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat, tov le'odot la'Adonai, uzamer l'shivcha elyon, uzamer l'shivcha elyon. Mizmor shir leyom ha-Shabbat, tov le'odot la'Adonai, uzamer l'shivcha elyon, uzamer l'shivcha elyon. Le'a'ir ba'boker chasecha, we turn together to Psalm 150 on page 89. Hallelujah, 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 We continue responsively at the top of page 91. Linda, would you lead us there in the English?
Let every living soul praise your eternal name, O God. Let the breath of every creature sing forever to your glory. Through all eternity you alone are God. There is no creator but you.
Though our mouths should overflow with song as the sea, our tongues with melodies the roaring waves, our lips with praise as the heaven's wide expanse, and though our eyes really shine as the sun and the moon, our arms extend like eagle's wings, our feet speed swiftly as deer, still we could not fully thank you, God of all ages, or bless your name enough, for even one of your infinite kindnesses to our ancestors and to us.
Therefore, O God, limbs and tongue and heart and mind shall join to praise your name. Every tongue will yet affirm you, and every soul give you allegiance.
As it is written, my lips shall say, Adonai, who is like you. And David sang, Bless Adonai, O my soul, and let all that is within me bless God's holy name.
God abides forever, the high and holy one. Therefore let all who are righteous sing God's song. Praise befits the upright.
We praise you, God of wonders, exalted through praise, who delights in song, the only one, light of the universe. Yekadal, Yekadash, May Rabbah. Amen. Be'alma divrach yirtei yamlik malchutei. As we continue at the bottom of page 95, David, would you lead us in the English of the prayer for creation?
We praise your eternal God, whose presence fills creation, creator of light and darkness, who makes peace and gives life to all. With compassion you illumine the world and its inhabitants. Through your goodness, creation is continually renewed.
How you hear your words, all of them made with wisdom. The universe is filled with your creative power. The stars and planets themselves radiate praise for you.
Cause a new light to shine upon Zion, and may we be worthy to behold its splendor.
We praise you, eternal one, creator of light. Middle of page 98.
Let
We praise you, Eternal One, who chooses us, your people Israel, with love. And together we rise and embody your spirit for the words of Shema and Ve'ahavta. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Ve'olam Oed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levav u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'avecha ve'hayu ha'dvarim ha'elah asher anochi mitzavah hayom alevecha v'shinartam levecha v'dibartam v'shitecha b'betecha u'b'letecha b'derech u'shoftecha u'kamecha u'shatam le'ot ha'yecha ve'hayu l'totavot b'neicha u'gaftam al mizrach betecha u'b'shecha למען תזכרו מה עשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני Eleanor, would you lead us in Emet B'Yatsi, page 103?
Emet B'Yatsi, true and certain it is that you are God.
As we yearn for certainty in a constantly changing world, enable us to find its source in you.
Nachon V'Kayam, firm and enduring is your name throughout all generations.
May our trust in you preserve us for generations to come.
Ahu V'Chabib, beloved and precious are your teachings to our ancestors and to us.
By observing the traditions of our people, may we come to meet you as our ancestors did, and bring your presence into our lives.
Nora V'Adir, awesome and majestic is the redemptive power that you have displayed to the people of Israel.
Our people witness your presence when you deliver us from slavery to freedom. And beholding your redeeming power, we discovered our own capacity for tikkun, the mending of the world.
Moses lifted his staff and showed us the power of trust. Waves of the sea swelled apart when we crossed over to the shore of freedom.
Miriam lifted her timbrel and showed us the power of song. Waves and voices swelled together, and we gave thanks to you with your gift of freedom.
Tehilot la'el elyon. Like our ancestors, we raise our voices in song to the supreme God, the source of blessing.
We
turn now to page 106 for the words of Sur Yisrael as we prepare to step into the words of the Amidah for this more personal conversation with God. Sur Yisrael, kol ha'ezrat Yisrael, u'deinu echad u'daber Yisrael, kol aleinu Adonai Tzvaot Shemo, Kadosh Yisrael, Baruch atah Adonai, Lo Yisrael. Adonai Sivat Vatitah Yuvi Yain Tilivatecha, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Eloheinu Tzitkotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomer Chasadim Tovim, V'Gomer Yaakov, V'Zocher Chaserot V'Mimo, U'Meir Ulav V'Pneihem, Le'amal Shuvo V'Yahava, Melech Ozer Moshiach U'Magid, Baruch atah Adonai, Magid Avraham, Ezrat Sarah. Atah Gidol Adonai, Mechayech Avotah, Rav Yoshia, Mechapel Chaim Chesed, Mechayech Oravim Ramim, Sobek Noflim, Rofeh Olim, Umatir Asurim, Ukayim Emato, Lishay Yahara, Miyamocha Miyapelurot, Umidoya, Melech Mikayeh, Umatirah Yeshua, Ve'emanata Yachayavoshapo, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh Barako. Mekadesh et shimcha ba'olam, keshem shemokdishimo tov bishmemorom, kakatuv hayad b'miyacho, v'kara zeh ve'amar, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech ha'aretz, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonai, Ma'ad Yeshim Friends, we turn now to page 125 for Seder Kriyat HaTorah, the order for reading of Torah on Shabbat morning. At the bottom of page 125, Shirley, would you lead us there, reading Beth?
Somewhere out of time, in the mystery of time, somewhere between memory and forgetfulness, dimly though I remember how I once stood at your mountain trembling amid the fire and thunder, how I stood there out of bondage in a strange land and afraid.
And you loved me without faith, and I feasted on your words, and yes, I can remember how the fire the fire of my soul.
O God, I do remember the fire burns in me anew, and here I am once more, a witness to that timeless moment, present now in the light of your Torah. I am renewed.
At the bottom of page 126, we rise to take the Torah from the Ark. Our Torah portion this morning is Shlach Lecha, and it is from Numbers chapter 13, beginning with verse 21. In our newer commentary, that's on page 980. In our older commentary, that's on page 1108. Page 980 in the newer commentary, page 1108 in the older commentary, Numbers chapter 13, verse 21, Shlach Lecha, which is the parsha, the section I'll be reading this morning, is where Moses sends out the 12 scouts to see what there is to see in the land, and they come back with mixed reports. 10 of them think they should not go up. Caleb and Joshua say, let's go.
Yamud Rishon Heshtiv and Yaakov Barachel.
Baruch atah Adonai habarach.
Baruch
Adonai habarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher b'kavod mikol ha'omim v'nosen lanu es ha'atah. Baruch atah Adonai na'aseh ha'atah. Amen.
Amen. Vaya'alu vayaturu et ha'aretz midbar tzin ad rechov levo chamat. Vaya'alu v'negev. Vayavo ad Chevron, v'sham Achiman Sheshai v'Talmai Yilidei ha'anak, v'Chevron sheva shanim nibnata lifnei tzon Mitzrayim. Vayavo ad Nachal Eshkol, vayichratu Misham Zumura ve'Eshkol Anavim Echad vayisa'u v'amot v'shnayim umin harimonim umin hatnaim l'makom hahu kara Nachal Eshkol al edut ha'eshkol asher kartu misham b'nei Yisrael.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chagei Eloheinu tavachavenu. Baruch atah Adonai na'aseh ha'atah.
Amen. Shakach.
Tamud Shniya Alkobar Manuel Halavi Bachaya.
Baruch et Adonai habarach.
Baruch Adonai habarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai habarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim ונתן לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Amen. Vayeshuvu mitur haaretz miketz 40 yom. Vayelchu vayavohu el Moshe ve'el Aharon ve'el kol adat b'nei Yisrael el midbar paran kadesha. Vayeshivu otam davar ve'et kol ha'edah vayerum et pri haaretz vayisapru lo vayomru vanu el haaretz asher shalachtanu v'gam zavat chalav udvash hi v'zeh pirya.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו. ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Shakach.
Tamud Shlishi Chana Bat Yisrael Zlata.
Baruch et Adonai habarach. Baruch Adonai habarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai habarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Amen. Efes ki az ha'am vayoshev ba'aretz v'ha'arim b'tzarut gdolot me'od v'gam yilidei ha'anak ra'inu sham Amalek yoshev ba'aretz ha'negev v'chachiti v'hayevusi v'ha'emori yoshev bahar v'ha'knani yoshev al hayam v'al yedei ha'yarden v'yachas Kalev et ha'am el Moshe v'yomer alo na'aleh v'yarashnu ota ki yachol nuchal la.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam אשר נתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
יעמוד המאפיה, יעקב בן שלמה ושרה, תעמוד הגוללת.
Please rise as the Torah is lifted. Please be seated. Our Haftarah this morning is taken from the book of Joshua, chapter 2. You'll find that on page 998 in the newer commentary, and page 1262 in the older commentary. So page 998 or 1262, Joshua beginning chapter 2. Both the Torah portion and the Haftarah speak of scouts or spies sent out to explore the land, which is the connection between the Haftarot. And this is, of course, a very famous story of Rachav. Ta'amud Yehudit bat Eliyahu ve'Esther hamaftira. Blessings for the Haftarah on page 131 in the Siddur.
וישלח יהושע בן נון מן השיטים 2 אנשים מרגלים חרש לאמור לכו את הארץ ואת יריחו וילכו ויבואו בית אישה זונה ושמה רחב וישכבו שמה. ויאמר המלך יריחו לאמור הנה אנשים באו הנה הלילה מבני ישראל לחפור את הארץ. וישלח מלך יריחו אל רחב לאמור הוציא את האנשים הבאים אלייך אשר באו לביתך כי לחפור את כל הארץ באו. ותיקח האישה את 2 האנשים ותספנו ותאמר, כן, באו אליי האנשים, ולא ידעתי מאין המה. ויהי השער לסגור בחושך, והאנשים יצאו, לא ידעתי אנה. הלכו אנשים, רדפו מהר אחריהם, כי תשיגום. והיא העלתם הגגה, ותטמנה בפשתי העץ הארוכות לה על הגג. האנשים רדפו אחריהם דרך הירדן על המעברות, והשער סגרו אחרי כאשר יצאו הרודפים אחריהם. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, הלל הנאמן, המלך הזה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל המילים ועל הזה, שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ומלוכה, לכבוד ותפארת, על הכל, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים בה ומברכים אותה, יתברך שמך, לפי כל חג תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Thank you, Judith. You have a question?
Not a question, a request.
Okay.
First of all, nice to see everybody. Came back safe, it's good. I would like to say, before the end of the service, somewhere, Bricata Gourmet. Okay?
Would you like to do that now? Now is a good time.
I don't even know where you read it, but if you tell me, I will. Whenever it's convenient.
All right. I'm not sure that we have Birkat Gomel in our Siddur.
So whenever we find it, you know, whenever it's
All right.
convenient.
Arlene is going to find it for
Let's
us.
see if I can. Yeah, I appreciate it.
We're going to turn to the words of Misha Berach, asking for healing for those in need of healing of body and healing of spirit. Of course, the blessing that you referred to is what one says when one has a return to health or return to community. We're especially in our community praying for those in need of healing and those in need of healing around the world. So as we sing these words, we ask God to bring them strength. We ask God to bring them comfort. We are praying this morning for Gail Patricia, Harvey Friedman, Raymond and Francis Rigby, Eudoro Torres, Consuelo Franco, Janet Brown, Wilfred Walker, Shirley Herman, Rick Valentine, Marlene Friedman, Jack Kudlatz, Suzanne Scher-Stimson, Bernie McLennan, Nicola Proetti, Rebecca Bodbull, Philip Shepard, Carl Katz, Yolanda Ruzzi, Madeline Kitson, Kathy Kitson, Dee Hickey, Lorraine DaCosta, Adela Tsur, Al Lofsky, Evelyn Tyndall, Amanda Shank, Daniel Black, Jean Elizabeth Pitt, Karen Smith, Francis Van Tyne, and Bob Smith. I invite you to add names of those for whom you are praying as well. If you'd like to share those names aloud with us. So we're going to do a Misha Berach that we have done a few times before. It's got to be in the right key that we can sing it though. Misha Berach Avoteinu, Abraham, Yitzchak, veYaakov. Misha Berach Avoteinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may Bless us with a vision for tomorrow. Help us to reach out to those in pain. May the warmth of friendship ease our sorrow. Give us courage, give us faith, show us the way. Mi sheberach Eloheinu, Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov. Mi sheberach Eloheinu, Sarah, Rivka, Leah, Rachel. May the one who blessed our mothers, may the one who blessed our fathers, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, hear our prayer, and bless us as well. All right, so Mishberach is for healing, Gomel is for those who have recovered. So what we're going to say, or what you're going to say, you know the bracha?
No,
Okay, so
I can read it.
sure. All right, you want to come up here?
Sure.
I hope you can read transliteration. I know Hebrew
Sorry?
is I hope you can read the transliteration because that's what we've got here.
Oh my goodness, and the very glasses. Oh, we don't have it in Hebrew?
Apparently not in this this iteration that we have.
Okay.
It's all right. Well,
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם הגומל לחיים,
l'chayavim,
לחייבים
tovot,
טובות
shegmalani,
מלני טוב.
which means blessed are you, God, ruler of the universe.
Who bestowed kindness upon
Me, for He has bestowed goodness.
yeah.
So the traditional response for us is to say, Mi shemalcha tov, hu yidu malcha kol tuv selah. May the one who has bestowed beneficence on you, that's a big word, who has bestowed kindness upon you, always bestow to you every kindness.
Yeah, just my sister, my baby sister Ori had on the 14th. She had a big heart valve operation. It was a biggie. So, by the way, she doesn't believe, and if I tell her that I did that, she will not talk to me again.
Okay, so you're doing it on her behalf
I'm
then?
doing it on her behalf, and you know, anyway. And also, on the same day, I came back from Stockholm, and the reason I'm saying it is because I don't like flying, and on that day I had to have 2 landings and 2 takeoffs. So that was more than I can manage, but we landed in Pearson safely. The Icelandic air was good, so everything is good.
So thank God. And listen,
Thank God.
when you
Yeah.
fly, you should pray Tefillah Aderech.
I have to like there in my
Okay.
place.
All right.
Anyways, I just wanted to mention it, and I wanted to show you my T-shirt. Can I tell another good story?
I'm going to tell a
Since
little
I'm
story.
here.
I'm going to tell a little story this
Wait.
morning, but I'm happy
Yeah,
to.
no, can I tell a quickie?
Very, very
When
short.
I wasn't in Tula, the north of Israel, I met
Send you
a-
back on the plane, Mary.
Pardon? No, you have to hear that. I met a German, people from Germany, that they gave me the T-shirt, and it also said, they call it from Shoah from Shoah's Holocaust, you know, and they came to Israel to apologize for what their grandparents did in the Shoah. They did not know they did bad things. They found out and they came to apologize. So I thought it was very nice.
Very
Anyway, thank you very much.
Miriam. And you know, we pray that your sister will continue to do well,
Yeah, thank you.
even though we won't tell her that you did this.
Actually, I will tell her.
Okay. But we won't. All right, let's turn to page 135 as we rise for the prayer for the state of Israel. Zur Yisrael v'goalo parechna et medinat Yisrael hagshama tikvatenu. Rock and Redeemer of Israel, place your blessing upon the state of Israel, the realization of our hope for a Jewish homeland. Send your light and your truth to all its inhabitants. Spread over them the shelter of your peace. Bestow insight upon its leaders, judges, and representatives, that they may pursue justice, freedom, and integrity. Visit blessing upon all your people Israel, wherever we dwell. Plant the love of Zion into our hearts, that our footsteps may raise to walk upon its soil. May the vision of your prophet Isaiah soon be fulfilled, for Torah shall come forth from Zion, and God's word from Jerusalem. And let us say, Amen. Hallelujah, Shem Adonai, King is God, Shmona V'Ado. Hallelujah, Shamayim, Hallelujah, Le'amo, Te'ilah, Le'chol Hatzivah, Yimei Yisrael, Amaro. Hallelujah. All right, I wasn't kidding. I actually am going to tell a story this morning. This is a story, it's a modern midrash about what happened in this morning's Torah portion. A friend of mine, Rabbi Leah Berkowitz, and her friend, Erica Vovsaniker, have written a book called Maybe It Happened This Way. It's a brand new book, subtitled Bible Stories Reimagined, and it's modern midrash. Midrash, as you know, is filling in the blanks. What happened behind the scenes in the story that we don't know about? And this particular story I really, really liked, and I wanted to share it with you. It's called Seeing Through Caleb's Eyes. And it kind of helps us answer the question, how did 12 scouts go into the land? And they came back with different perspectives that were so different that it caused a big balagan. What are we going to do? Are we going to go? Should we not go? Seeing Caleb's eyes. It was nice to have a friend who always looked on the bright side. Caleb was that kind of friend. Back when we'd first left Egypt, walking between walls of water that had once been the Sea of Reeds, most of the Israelites looked down at the seabed and complained about the muck that was squishing between their sandals. But Caleb looked up at the horizon. "Joshua, we're free," he shouted. "It's a miracle." Caleb used lots of explanation points when he spoke. He'd said the same thing when we stood together at Sinai and when Moses came down from the mountain with that second set of tablets, and when Bezalel showed us the Ark of the Covenant, and even on more ordinary days when all we were doing was trudging through the desert, Caleb would suddenly look up and exclaim, "Joshua, we're free!" If I didn't respond, Caleb would elbow me in the ribs and make me pay attention. And no matter what troubles were on my mind, I would look up at that wilderness stretched out before us and allow myself to feel hopeful just for a moment. A miracle, I would concede, rubbing my side where he had elbowed me. After days of wandering stretched into months, Caleb's optimism began to get on people's nerves, including mine. Life in Egypt had been hard, but so far life as a free people, it didn't seem much easier. In Egypt, everything had been decided for us, where to go, what to do, where our next meal was coming from, and now nothing was certain. Every day was another setback, and even when there wasn't, we found plenty to complain about. The flaky sweet manna that appeared like fresh dew every morning, it was too bland. The water that sprung up miraculously in the desert was too bitter. Even God's voice at Sinai was too piercing for our fragile human ears. But Caleb kept on trying to boost the people's spirits. After a few weeks, some of our fellow wanderers coined it Caleb eyes to refer to his rose-colored ways of seeing things. It wasn't a compliment. It was usually accompanied by an eye roll. Aren't you even a little excited? Caleb asked the others. We're headed to the promised land. Oh, why should we be excited, groaned Sether. How do we know we won't end up starving or slaves again or both? If we even manage to get there, mumbled Palti. Who's to say we'll be able to conquer it, asked Gadia. We have no army, we're just a bunch of tired slaves. While Caleb was reassuring us that better days were coming, I worried. Maybe the grumblers were right. How could we know what awaited us on the other side of the Jordan? So when Moses asked me to lead a group of 12 scouts to inspect the promised land, I quickly agreed. I wanted to see if the promised land was, well, as promised. I'm counting on you to get the whole story, Moses said. Even with God's help, we're going to have many challenges to face when we arrive there, so we need to know what we're up against. Caleb could hardly contain himself when I invited him to come along. He practically bounced beside me, chattering on about everything as we passed along the way. I could tell the other scouts in our party were working pretty hard not to tell Caleb to shut up. Soon, we found ourselves in another desert, not unlike the one that we had left behind. It was dry and cracked from the late summer heat. There wasn't a person or a plant anywhere in sight. Some nice milk and honey, muttered Nachmi. Well, at least there aren't any people here, said Guel. I guess we can see why. Well, wait a minute. Don't give up yet, I countered, and Caleb nodded in agreement. As we continued, I noticed the cities that we passed were surrounded by high stone walls. They wouldn't be easy to breach in a battle if it came to that. Suddenly, the dry brown land exploded into every shade of green. The hill country was studded with lush, leafy trees, branches practically being pulled to the ground by the weight of the fruit. Look at this, Caleb said. He grabbed a pomegranate that was roughly the size of my head. Have you ever seen fruit this big? Let's take it back to show Moses, I suggested. But Caleb wasn't listening. He split the fruit open, he scooped a handful of seeds in his mouth, and this, he declared, is the best pomegranate I've ever tasted. He hacked it into 12 pieces with his knife and handed it out to the rest of the scouts. Yeah, scoffed Gaddy, because nothing ever bad happened when someone said, here, eat this fruit. Enough! Sick of their grumbling, I grabbed the fruit and slurped the red seeds until the juice ran down my arm. The others hesitated at first, but their thirst and curiosity got the best of each other. It had been a while since we had tasted anything so tart. The manna was in fact bland and pretty sweet too. Soonly we were giddily pointing out the different fruits that were growing all around us, and for a moment I allowed myself to stop worrying. Look at those grapes! Yigal cut a heavy bunch from a drooping vine. It would take 2 of us to carry them. Just then, boom, the earth beneath us shook. An earthquake? But the shaking didn't stop. It felt as if it was steadily moving closer. The pounding sound grew louder and louder, and a shadow fell over us. That's not an earthquake, I whispered. It's a giant, screamed Sether. Run! For that moment, we were all in agreement. We ran as fast as we could out of the hill country, never daring to look back. And when we were safely back in the desert, we collapsed onto the dry ground and gasped for breath. For a long time, nobody said anything. I wasn't sure what to say. Moses trusted us to bring back a truthful report, but what was the truth? I took a deep breath. Before we go back across the river, I said, we need to get our story straight. We need to give one honest report to Moses and the people so they'll know what to expect when we enter the land. What's to get straight, said Shemuel. We can't bring the people back there. We were nearly attacked by a giant. Giants, plural, said Yigal. There were more than one. But we didn't see any giants, protested Caleb. How do you know there were giants there? Didn't you feel the ground shaking, said Amiel, or see the shadow that blocked the sun? Could have been an earthquake, said Caleb. Could have been an eclipse. It doesn't mean that it was an army of sun-blocking, earth-shaking giants. No, said Amiel, it was clearly an earthquake eclipse. Those happen all the time. They're much more likely to happen than giants. The conversation devolved further from there. The story of the giant or giants became more and more wild and elaborate. First there were 5, then there were 10, then there were 50 of them. They were tall as oak trees and solid and impenetrable like stone towers. One giant was so big that he looked like he was wearing the sun as a necklace. My head started to pound. Nobody had seen the source of the sound or the shaking or the shadow. We'd run away too fast, and now our imaginations were running away. And Moses was relying on us to tell the truth. But the lies kept growing louder, and Caleb's hopeful chatter grew louder, and soon it all began to sound like ringing and buzzing in my ears. Wait, said Caleb. Wait a minute. Nothing was so bad. Remember the green hills? The giant fruit? And the giant people, said Nabi. They made us look like grasshoppers. They could crush us under their feet and not even feel it. The Israelites are going to be crushed when we tell them, said Shaphat. What do you want me to say, Caleb? That there's nothing to be afraid of? That everything's a miracle? We could just go tomorrow and build a nation? Who cares how big the grapes are? Who cares if it was a giant or an earthquake? Something chased us out of there. If we look at it only with your Caleb eyes, we're going to get everybody killed. Caleb looked as if I'd slapped him. I struggled to find words that would make it better, but before I could say anything else, I heard a loud cry rise up behind me. While I'd been yelling at Caleb, we had crossed over into the Israelite camp. The people were waiting to hear our report. It wasn't clear how much the waiting crowd had heard, but it didn't matter. Soon the people gathered at Moses' tent and demanded to go back to Egypt. Back to Egypt! We want to go there. Back to Egypt, said Moses. What could possibly make you want to go back to Egypt? And then the people relayed the rumors that they had heard running through the camp. The promised land is full of giants and armies of giants and walled cities and poisonous pomegranates. Well, that one's not even a little bit true, said Caleb. Somebody made that up. But the more ridiculous the rumors became, the harder they were to ignore, and finally Moses blew a shofar to silence the crowds. Scouts, he said, tell us the truth. What did you see? Shammua spoke first. The land is just as God promised, lush and green and flowing from milk and honey. But from the first word that he spoke, the Israelites only heard the but that was coming. Sether said, but it's filled with powerful armies and fortified cities and giants, and we look like grasshoppers. Moses turned to me. Joshua, is this true? I felt my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth. The scouts' report was only a partial truth, the worst possible version. The people needed to hear Caleb's perspective, and mine too, whatever that might be, but now there were 10 scouts and thousands of Israelites that were clamoring to go back to Egypt. If I sided with Caleb, it would just be the two of us against everyone. While I was trying to decide, Caleb called out, "This is nonsense." The crowd hushed for a moment. "Sure, there's obstacles to overcome," he said, "but God promised us this land. Whatever challenges await us there, we can face them together. Let's go up and conquer the land." But the damage had already been done. A shadow had fallen over the Israelites' faces. "Of course, Caleb would say that," said Sether. "He's going to get us killed." "Take us back to Egypt," Amiel shouted. "We don't want to die out here." "Joshua," Moses pleaded, "who's telling the truth? What did you really see?" I wanted to see the things the way that Caleb did. I wanted to get to the promised land and build a nation there. But the people had made up their minds. Anything Moses or Caleb said only made them angrier. Some of them even started picking up stones to throw at our heads. I looked at Caleb, but he turned away from me and walked out of the camp. "I need to go talk to Caleb," I said, and I ran after him. I found him sitting on a rock throwing pebbles into the Jordan River. He didn't move when I sat down beside him. "What happened to you?" I said. "Why'd you walk away?" "What happened to you?" said Caleb. "Why didn't you say anything?" "What could I say after what we saw?" I said. "We didn't see anything," said Caleb. "We got scared and everybody started making things up, and you let the other scouts rattle you." They outnumbered us, I said. How was I supposed to stand up to them? Well, if we're going to build a nation in the promised land, said Caleb, we're going to have to learn how to stand up for ourselves even when we're outnumbered. Even my Caleb eyes can see this situation isn't ideal. We could have done without the earthquake, eclipse, army of giants incident, said Caleb. What about you? Do you believe that? He didn't try to make a case as he had before. Instead, he sat waiting for me to come up with my own answer. Well, I said, I wouldn't have believed that we could have been free after 400 years, or that the sea would part and we could escape Egypt, but that happened. I wouldn't have believed that God could appear to us at Sinai, or that God would forgive us after we made the golden calf, but that happened too. And I never would have believed that there were pomegranates as big as my head. See, said Caleb, I'm not saying it won't be difficult or even terrifying. I'm just saying it's possible and it'd be worth it. For the pomegranates, I said, and the giant grapes, laughed Caleb. Oh, please don't use that word giant anymore, I moaned. I won't, said Caleb, but seriously, the people are scared, but they know that Moses trusts you. They'll listen to you. So what are you going to say? I stood up and said, I guess I'm going to go back to Moses and say we need to look at that promised land through our Caleb eyes. I looked out over the river, trying my best to see what lay ahead of us. I didn't ignore the dry brush or the walled cities. We'd have to deal with them. But I tried my best to look past them and to see the greenery that lay ahead, the pomegranates, the grapes, the promise of a brighter future. We're free, I whispered, and I elbowed Caleb in the ribs. It's a miracle, said Caleb as he rubbed his side. And maybe that's how it happened. I invite you to join me on page 149. As we rise now for the words of Alleluia, we pray for the day when the world will be one and at peace. Alleluia, Shabbat, Ladon, Hakol, Late, Kedulah, Liot, Asher, Sam, Kalkinu, Yached, et Shemo, Vegor, Alleluia, Lichachuto, Vananu, Korim, Umishachamim, Umodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, She'unotei Shamayim ve'yosei haaretz, u'mashach tikaro b'shamayim yimah, u'shiratu zo, b'gavei meromim, Hu Eloheinu Eino, Eretz Malkeinu Eretz Sugoto, Karatu b'Toratu, Yedatayu b'Shavota, Ela b'Movecha, Ki Adonai Hu Elohim, b'Shamayim Mimah, B'Yal Haaretz V'Yal Haaretz, Mitachal Eino, V'ne'emar v'hayam Adonai, L'melech al kol haaretz, V'yom ha'u, Yiheh Adonai echad, U'shemo echad. Please be seated. At this time, our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those of our friends and neighbors, and all those people whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. At this time, we are in Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Sue Botnick, the wife of Harold, the sister of Ruth Weitzman and Ushi Schmidt, the sister-in-law of Arlene Botnick and Margaret Botnick, the cherished aunt of many nieces, nephews, and cousins. and for Ben Hazan, the brother of Ray, and the brother-in-law of Bella. We recall as well the names of the following, whose yard site, the anniversary of whose death occurs this week. Hirsch Wanowitz, the cousin of Lila Wirzba. Blanche Cohen, the mother of Bev Rothschild, the grandmother of Lisa and Debbie, and the great-grandmother of Ethan, Hayden, Emma, and Adina. Ellen Becker, the dear friend of Marlene Tash. Sigmund Steinmetz, the grandfather of Stephen Steinmetz. Lydia Schneider, the mother of Sylvia Loeffler and the grandmother of Romina and Julieta. Edward Isidore Tavis, the father of Peter. Irving Bornstein, the father of Linda Blofield. Norman Zone, the brother-in-law of Harold and Sue and Arlene Botnick. Harold Lustig, the cousin of Rita Grossman. Maurice Goldfein, the uncle of John Lucen, great-uncle of Simon, Emily, and Zach. Norma Nettie Simon, the aunt of Roz Allen, and Abe Pollock, my grandfather. If there are other names that you would like to share for Kaddish, you're invited to share them aloud at this time. We ask those who are mourning to please rise first. As we say to Min HaMakom, Tinachamu, may you find comfort in God's sheltering presence. Now as a community, we all rise to support the mourners and to say Kaddish for those who have no one to say it for them. Page 159. Yitgadal v'yitkadash me'rabah be'alma divrach hirutei b'yom malchutei v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei t'chol be'Yisrael ba'agalah v'zman karim v'imramen Yehi shmei rabba mevarach le'alam olam me'almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromah v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata Tushbachata v'nechamata, damiran me'alma v'imramen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imramen. Osei shalom b'imroma, hu ya'asei shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei adam v'imramen. May the source of peace and peace to all those who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us, among all of our people of Israel, and among all the nations and families of earth. And we say together, Amen. Please be seated. At this time, it's my pleasure to call upon Dennis Perlin, representing our board, to bring some greetings and announcements.
Thank you. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. First, Rabbi, Todah Rabbah for another very beautiful service, as always. And also the thank yous as well to our tech, Joel Brown, to our shamus, Eleanor Stock, to our Gabbai, Nicole Hansen, Eleanor Stock, Nicole Hansen. So forgive me, I didn't to know the names. Also to all those who participated this morning in terms of Aliyah's opening the ark. So thank you for your help in the service this morning. For current activities, updates, and announcements, please subscribe to Facebook, Solel Twitter, and Instagram accounts, and the website. It has all the information that Solel offers in the weeks and months to come. This coming week, Tuesday morning minyan at 7 a.m. A wonderful opportunity to pray together, and then a beautiful breakfast. In terms of needs, before we know it, the High Holy Days will be here. Shofar blowers are needed, and if you are interested, please contact Mark Botnick or the Solel office. We will do the training. For upcoming services, all the services will be live streamed. Masks are no longer being mandated at Solel, but individuals may choose to wear them if they feel safer. Upcoming service, Saturday, June 24th at 10 a.m., regular Shabbat service with Clara Wennick's Bat Mitzvah. And then Friday, June the 30th, 8 p.m., regular Shabbat service. There will be no Shabbat services on Saturdays during July, but the regular Shabbat services will occur on Friday evening, the Erev Shabbat at 8 p.m. as usual. Two projects that we hope people will participate in. The Living Torah Project, the writing of a new Torah scroll for Solel in honor of the 50th anniversary. And there's the Jerusalem Walls Brick fundraiser continues. And if you're interested in supporting both of those projects financially, please contact the office. With that, let me close with a Shavua Tov to one and all in the beautiful lyrics, best sung by Theodore Bickel, my memory. Shavua Tov, 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 Shavua Tov. A week of peace, a week of joy, a week of peace and happiness, a week of joy, a week of peace, a week of peace and happiness. Shavua Tov.
Thank you so much, Dennis. We'll close our Shabbat morning service with Kiddush and Motzi so we can then enjoy some Oneg Shabbat together in the Kiddush room. So please join with me on page 164 as we rise for the words of Vishamru. Vishamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Le'dor Berit Olam Vishamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Le'dor Berit Olam B'nai Yisrael, B'nai Yisrael, Oti Le'olam Vishamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Le'dorot Berit Olam Ki Shesher Yamim Asa Adonai Et Hashamayim Ve'et Haaretz Vishamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Le'dorot Berit Olam U'bayom ha'shlishi Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash Shabbat v'yinafash Vishamru B'nai Yisrael et HaShabbat La'asot et HaShabbat Le'dorot Berit Olam Al Ken Berach Adonai Yom HaShabbat V'yikadshehu Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Borei L'riah Gafen L'chaim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kinshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al netilat yadayim.
Amen.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'tei avon. B'tei avon, Shabbat Shalom. May you have a joyous, peaceful, and restful Shabbat. Amen. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Right? This is the declaration.